The meaning of life is a hard thing to understand, and every person has a different comprehension of it because there is no true answer. Sometimes, life can feel like a bad dream, time just slowly ticking away, and you feel as if you've done nothing with your time and have accomplished nothing, and it just disgusts you. It disgusts you because it's not a pretty thing to realize your idle state in this busy world, while you could be doing something greater, and it scares you, because you don't know when you're finally going to awake from this never-ending nightmare and break away from the sedative vegetative state. But that moment can come when you least expect it, and you may finally awake from this nightmare before you finally realize it. I hope. Welcome to the N.H.K. is a 24-episode anime adaptation of the novel written by Tatsuhiko Takimoto, having Welcome to the N.H.K. being one of the only few works he has ever done, which consists of the drama, dark comedy, and romance genre. The N.H.K. stands for Nihon Hikikomori Kyokai, which is a conspiracy theory placed in our main character's mind that's formed by the social media of Japan to create hikikomoris, so individuals like our 22-year-old protagonist Tatsuhiro Sato can have the role of being frowned upon by the normal public. The story focuses around Sato, our college dropout who lives his days as a hikikomori, an individual who literally excludes himself from society because of the feelings of psychological indifference to others. You witness the way that he lives and how he feels about his solitude, yet not having enough willpower to do anything about it. Until there's a ring at the doorbell, where Sato builds enough courage to open the front door. From the moment that Sato opens the door, a new door opens to carry the series on in a comical way, as Sato becomes united with his otaku buddy Yamazaki, and work together to cure Sato of his hikikomori disease, before he needs to comply with the contract that he's made with the mysterious girl at the front door. Ironically enough, these side projects that our main character performs are other subcultures in Japan that are widely known for being a part of the otaku, NEET, and hikikomori demographic, like playing RPGs, collecting figurines, and even hentai games. The story of Welcome to the N.H.K. shows us both feelings of entertainment and pleasure and comedy, along with sadness and despair. And I feel like Welcome to the N.H.K. with its story incorporated these two themes really well. And without really spoiling it, I think that Welcome to the N.H.K. executed the way that one would feel if they were struggling with their life, and do it in a very slow manner so that you don't really expect it right away. So I feel like the way that the story was executed was just done perfectly. And as a little side note that I found really interesting is that the writer of Welcome to the N.H.K. actually admitted to the fact that he was a recovering hikikomori himself. This left me a little dumbfounded on how one person can try to admit their problems and try to fight through their issues, and him writing it through a book and becoming an anime I thought was really nice, because it could also show anybody else that has these similar problems or issues in their life the same thing, and sort of give them maybe an idea to help themselves. And I just thought that was a really cool concept that Welcome to the N.H.K. also had. The characters in Welcome to the N.H.K. are what brings the majority of the comedy side out of the series. First, we'll start with our main character, Tatsuhiro Sato, who is the degenerate hikikomori. He knows that he's ill and attempts to better himself so he doesn't have to comply with the contract that he's made with the mysterious Misaki. But due to his subjectivity, he just can't control his behaviors, which ultimately leads him to do stupid things. He brings out both major elements in Welcome to the N.H.K. that you will see with his progression in the series. There's also Karu Yamazaki, Sato's otaku friend from high school that he's become reunited with, whose crude and outspoken attitude is unlike any others. Yamazaki coupled with Sato, make the dynamic duo for the humor that's unleashed in this series. That aside, the backstory that we receive on Yamazaki makes him a likable character for me, because he's also in denial about certain things in his being, which comparatively has great chemistry with Sato's issue and the story combined. Next, we have Misaki Nakahara, the character that I described as mysterious beforehand, because that's really what she is. She's the cautious and helpless high school girl who attempts to help Sato by using the method of psychoanalysis and applying it to philosophical reasonings to his existence as a hikikomori and as a human being. Even though Misaki is played off as Sato's apathy towards the recovery, she can be intriguing to listen to, and blindly acts as the darker aspect of Welcome to the N.H.K, which makes her one of the more likable characters for me. Now lastly, I want to talk about some of the supporting characters in Welcome to the N.H.K, like Hitomi. Now Hitomi overall is a very pessimistic and cynical person, and even though she's not shown a lot in the anime, she is shown a lot more in the manga and perceived a lot more in the manga, because she is what makes Welcome to the N.H.K take a more dark and R-rated route. Now, they couldn't do this with the anime because it was shown on TV, so they sort of just left her as a supporting character more than a main character. And in retrospect, I understand why they did that, but it was still a bit of a disappointment having Hitomi sort of in the show just to be little sparks of Sato's sort of disease, I guess you could say. Like, I would say that maybe Hitomi was one of the main reasons why Sato was the way that he was, and they didn't really show what she did to make him that way, which was a bit of a setback for me. Now, besides Hitomi, there were other side characters that I felt like could have gone more into detail that they didn't. Another example is Megumi, which was from the Pyramid Scheme, where they took like one whole arc and they didn't really talk a whole lot about her. And also I would say the characters that were with Hitomi in the final mission arc. And I felt like they didn't really go into detail as much as they could have with them. But overall, they're just the supporting characters, and even though Hitomi was supposed to be a main character, I felt like they weaned her out good enough, and the main characters were executed perfectly. They were very well rounded and they were very fulfilling to their roles. Now, I'd also like to take note that I did watch Welcome to the N.H.K dubbed, and I feel like Greg Aries and Chris Patton did a great job together in this dub cast. Usually I don't like watching dubs that much because they feel a little too exaggerated for me, but the chemistry between Chris Patton and Greg Aries made the dynamic duo in Welcome to the N.H.K with Sato and Yamazaki. So I would say that overall it was more enjoyable for me, and you get more of a feel for the comedy sense watching it in the dub, so I would recommend watching it in the dub. The art style and animation for Welcome to the N.H.K is produced by Studio Gonzo, which is a studio that I have a love-hate relationship with. Besides producing a few gems like Gankotsuo, all of their works have been average to me when it comes to my appeal to animation. And Welcome to N.H.K, it's the same case because it's just satisfactory. There's nothing significantly appealing that's brought to my attention, but there's nothing that's grotesque enough to make me shy away from the show. I will say in defense that N.H.K was more of a stationary series, and I mean that in a way that it wasn't really action-packed, so smooth and extensive animation wasn't really necessary. And the overall atmosphere of the show was just well suited when it came to its dark elements. Like, for example, the sullen eyes that Sato had, which makes you feel for him, for the character that he is. Though the dark theme resonates nicely with the art style, it also threw me off at the same time, because the character designs felt a bit sketchy and stiff at times. But considering N.H.K's age and the fact that it wasn't meant to overpower the eyes, it still leaves a positive impression for me more than anything. Lastly, I want to talk about the music and sound in Welcome to the N.H.K. The music seems to incorporate both the dark comedy and the psychological portions of the show, with the mellow blues and then the contemporary tunes, which also complements well with the lonesome and gloomy moments with Sato when he's deep within his troubled thoughts, and also versifies between the moments of nostalgia with simplistic harmonic sounds, but all the while still driving the darker and bitter taste of the show into us while watching the series unfold. The sounds in Welcome to the N.H.K. fits the atmosphere perfectly with both the comedy side and the darker side. So on the contrary, there is that one song that's a complete opposite that matches the otaku culture, which is the anime theme song that was made just for the series to help us personify the idea of the otaku culture in Japan, which I think overall deserves some praise. Now, overall, I did enjoy Welcome to the N.H.K. I liked seeing the struggle between Sato and what he had to do with his everyday life, and I also liked to see the backside of Japanese culture that's hidden behind all the, I guess, moe glory that anime sort of presents us. It sort of shows you a more realistic sense of what some people go through, and not just them being happy all the time and polite and just having real problems. And being hikikomori is more profound in Japan than it is anywhere else, which I think is a big deal, and Welcome to the N.H.K. is able to sort of show us what this is about, which I thought was a really great thing to see. Now, of course, there were some things that did set me back, like I said, with the supporting characters like Hitomi not really being in it as much as I think she should have, and also the ending with Misaki I felt like was a little rushed to sort of feel believable. It was sort of those things where like the ending you didn't really expect, but it almost felt like it wasn't real, but at the same time you were able to feel the situation happen. You just didn't really feel, or at least I didn't really feel, how dire the situation was because of the pacing that it took, with most of the series being more comedic to me than being dark. It was done good, but I just felt like the ending was a little bit too rushed for me. Besides that, Welcome to the N.H.K. I think is definitely worth a watch for anybody that has not seen it yet. It's 26 episodes long, which is nice because it sort of takes you away from the quick 12 to 13 episode series, and it gives you a real story with decent pacing, and the dub is really done well, and I feel like you will enjoy it so much more if you watch it dubbed, which is a rarity for me to kind of say. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed my review, and leave your comments down below. Tell me what you thought of my review. Give me any suggestions, what you didn't like about it, what you think I should change about it, besides my thoughts, because my thoughts are my thoughts and I don't really want to change them because, you know, they're just mine, and that's why I'm telling you guys what my thoughts are. But you know, you can leave any comment down below and I will read it. I read every single comment because you guys are awesome, and until next time. Now, speaking of next time, I already have planned what I'm going to do for my next video, and it is going to be sort of a anime talk or anime chat of what I'm thinking about the winter of 2014 season. So if you guys are watching this after I display the video, I'm gonna put like a little link thing here, or at least I'm gonna try to figure out how that YouTube thing works, and I'll like put it here in this cool square that I hope will fit, and if it doesn't, then my link will be down below, but you can look forward to that, and well, until then.